On Knife's Edge, what are the ways they're describing an exciting weekend that was in week 11 of Major League Rugby for both fans and fantasy managers? 4 out of 5 games decided by less than 3 points had us all on the edge of our seats. On this week's episode of the Fantasy Ruckers Show, we break it all down. Of course, go over the latest news and notes, give you some waiver wire advice, and predict what's to come in week 12. The Fantasy Ruckers Show starts right now.
Where rugby and the world of fantasy sports collide. Welcome to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, talking all things rugby from the MLR to leagues around the world. We're on top of it. Headphones on, pads off. This is the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Yee, Matt Yee, and Devin Vanderpool.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 108 of the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Thank you so much to our Fantasy Ruckers League members, our community members, and everyone else tagging along on this journey of making fantasy rugby a reality in the MLR. With you each and every single week, Matt Yee, Devin Vanderpool. I am Ryan Yee. And boys, like I said in the teaser, Knife's Edge. It was a crazy week of MLR matchups that were decided by a handful of points. 4 out of 5 games, like I said at the top of the show, decided by 3 points or less. It was crazy, wire tight when it came to matchups in the MLR, which had us fantasy managers, I think, a little bit more on the edge of our seat more than usual, dealing with the stresses of both fantasy and the games. But boys, what a weekend of rugby we had.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. One thing's for sure, all of our picks basically suck. So,
yep.
That was pretty much the sure thing as the weekend progressed. I just knew that I was going to have a basically losing record.
And that's the funny thing too, because I don't think there has been an episode this season where we haven't been like more certain of ourselves about this pick.
Yeah.
Maddie, we can probably roll the tape and talk about how we were talking about going the same pick, all three of us. And it was just like, okay, we all know what we're going to do. And this is like the easiest week. And I think you can have me quoted saying, oh, this is an easy parlay week. We're going to just pick these things, lock it in, free money. Didn't end up being that way. And we're going to explain why and how in this episode here. But yeah, it was an interesting one. Everything taking a hit. I think all of us lost in our fantasy matchups this week. That's fun.
Yep.
It sounds pretty regular for me anymore.
yeah, you do suck, Fanny. You are right. But morally, I felt like I got a win.
Morally?
Yeah, morally.
Well,
I got a moral win.
Good thing statistically you didn't.
Why is that?
I got a moral one because I couldn't play a 10. Everybody was stealing all the 10s.
Yeah, I didn't play 10 either. Well,
Stephen Lowen over there has 2 guys get a hat trick. And I lose by 30 points. Like, I'm pretty good. And I had a guy on the bench that put up almost 20.
It
and a
sounds
guy who got
like
a red card.
I'm
feeling
like that's just bad management to me. An L's an L, right? I don't know. Comment down below if you're listening on the pod or watching on the YouTube video. I think Matt's trying to make lemons out of lemonade here, and I don't think it's working.
Buddy. I think you got to make lemons out of lemonade down in what, 8th place?
Matt's the type of guy to say we would have won if it wasn't for the refs.
Yeah, right. Let's get it straight here. 7th place, Matty. I'm just outside of a playoff spot, but again, we'll get into it.
Well, let me know when you get there, right?
Yeah,
outside looking in, everything looks pretty bad, doesn't it?
But we'll get into all of that in this episode here. Another jam-packed one. We say it every single show, but we're going to break down week 12, week 11. I'm getting ahead of myself. Week 11 and the exciting week that was. Talk about the team of the week honorees and the guys that really showed up for you this past weekend. Obviously, give you some waiver wire advice heading into another week with a couple buys. Predict. Hopefully goes better this time around, but give our predictions into week 12. And like we've had for the past several episodes here, get into our Triple D segment, Devin's Degenerate Dambles. And if there's one bright spot on this show, it seems like that just might be it. We needed something to interject into the Fantasy Ruckers Show, and it seems like Triple D may be that therapy that we need. But
no, you know what it is? Here. After 3 years, I can't seem to find wins, but at least I can find a couple coins.
Maybe,
There we
yeah,
go.
exactly.
That's what matters.
And maybe you got your 4-leaf clover all stashed into your betting scene, and maybe you need to spread the love there into more of your fantasy circles. But it's okay. Well, we'll get
Maybe
into
not.
it. I am liking the Triple D segment so far. But yeah, let's get into it, guys. But before we do, like we say every single show, if you aren't already, give us a follow on socials. Handles are up above on the YouTube video. If you're watching there, down below in the description. If you're listening on the pod, like, comment. Tell us how you're enjoying your fantasy MLR journey. It really helps us out. And hey, give us a little subscription as well. That goes a long way in helping us. If that's not enough for you, join our lovely Discord community. Has a whole bunch of great people over there, big time community leaders that you can interact with. We've had some nice smack talk going back and forth there in our Discord, and some game day chatter as well. And then we also have, of course, the fantasyruckers.com, our fantasy MLR platform that you can check out, even if you're not in a league, and get some interesting stats there on Major League Rugby 11 weeks into the season.
Yep. Sign up, boys and girls and ladies.
Yeah, we're
everyone.
We're an all-inclusive show here on the Fantasy
sure
Rucker
are.
Show. It's 2024. But all right, let's get into the news and notes here and start off, I guess, on a brighter spot. Apparently, it is the sign and trade deadline. We record this podcast. We record this podcast on Monday nights. So at the recording of this show, the sign and trade deadline is
straight up
to an end here.
It's a formality.
By the time this episode comes out, the deadline would have passed. And now, whether or not we hear some signings and trades happen in the coming days with things that were agreed upon before this deadline, we'll see. But I agree with you, Matt. It's definitely one that we've taken with a grain of salt.
What are the kids saying? This trade deadline is fugazi. That's what it is.
Is that what the kids?
That's what the kids say. Wazi.
Yeah, it's fugazi. All right, like we're gonna get signings 2 weeks from now. We're gonna get signings 3 weeks from now. And we're still going to be talking about this big international signing that's going to happen. This is the most useless trade deadline. I mean, they basically just put this together because they said North America, we're a North American sport. We need a trade deadline. And, they put this little fake thing in round 11.
I guess the question is, the real question, to bring it to a fantasy perspective. Do you guys have enough fab in your your account here to bid on a guy?
I've got $1.
I got a couple bucks. Yeah,
I've got $1.
I got 33, baby.
I'm in the single digits now, so I'm really trying to milk that the rest of the year. So fingers crossed, there's nothing too crazy. So if you're in our main fantasy Ruckers league, yeah, don't bid more than $9.
$1.
If you're in our league, let me have something. Please.
No.
All right. Well, let's get into the signings that we do know of that happened over the course of the past week that we can talk about ahead of this sign and trade deadline that has passed now that you're listening on the pod on Monday. The one that was announced last week was the signing that Chicago made. Kian Meaden is heading to the Hounds, the South African fly half fullback. Spent 2022 with Rugby Atlanta. Started in 7 of the 8 games he played in that season. Scored 25 points for Rugby Atlanta. He then spent 2023 with the Houston SaberCats in the 2 games he appeared in, both started in. Familiar name in MLR circles. Now going to the Hounds, a team that you might say needs a fly half fullback, especially with the injury of Luke Hardy. Yeah. This might be one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I actually do think that he's going to end up starting at the 10 position, and they're going to move Carl's back to 15. And I think this is a perfect addition for them.
Yeah, and I think I can only assume that it's still going to be Carl's doing the kicking, so you're not going to be getting that in your fly half kind of repertoire if you do bid and try to pick up Kian Meaden. He didn't appear in this last weekend's match, but we don't know heading into the waiver wire this week. Maybe something we talk about, but we'll the lineups will come out after our waiver wire period passes. So just keep an eye out on that name. Might be a quick little pickup that you have to keep an eye out for if he does appear in the starting 23 this weekend. Another trade now that we got to talk about is one that happened a little while ago, but it takes a little bit of time for MLR to release these types of things. But he did make his first appearance, I believe, for Utah this past weekend. And he did score a try for the Warriors as well. Front rower, Batongia Paea. I think that's it.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I believe that's a meal.
That is a meal. But
he's a meal of a man.
It's a meal where he's eating tries as soon as he gets out the gate, because that's what he did this past weekend. He goes to the Utah Warriors in exchange for salary cap considerations.
Oh, cool.
Our
Another
friend
thing that's fake.
to the Houston SaberCats.
More fakeness in the MLR. Fugazi. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Nonetheless,
well, I got news and notes.
Oh, do you? Oh, you do more?
I do.
Okay.
I got sources.
Okay, let's
hear
it.
I got sources. Well,
how many?
Oscar Collar. Actually, it's not even that MLR related, but since the fact that he's been absent the past 3 weeks, I was trying to find a root cause. Turns out that he re-signed with North Harbor for the MPC Bunnings Cup tournament. So I don't know. I mean, apparently he's hurt. Apparently he's got put on IR on the fantasyruckers.com for all the league managers. But maybe he went back to New Zealand just to sign a nice little contract, you know?
It's true.
How can you just go back and sign a contract? Don't you sign one with the MLR?
Well, he's got one with the MLR, but the Bunnings Cup goes during the offseason in MLR.
Yeah, you're
but
a Bunnings Cup.
You never know. Maybe he's got maybe he's going back or something, or maybe he was back, or maybe he is hurt. Who knows? I thought that maybe this could kind of stir the pot there on where the heck Oscar Collar is. But it also points to how good of a season he's had.
It is true. It is very true. He was playing pretty stellar here before he took that knock there, and haven't seen him since. But nonetheless, that is interesting insider news, Matt. I wonder who your source is. But 84.7
North Harbor Facebook.
84.7 fantasy points for Oscar Collar. He's been a marquee fly half when he was playing. It led to a Tarangatira Waitokia appearance at fly half this week, which made things interesting. But nonetheless, I guess Oscar Collar watch is now here on the Fantasy Ruckers show, and we'll see what happens here in the coming weeks for the fly half for Carolina. But yeah, that's all news. Are your sources saying anything else to you, Maddie? I'm intrigued. Maybe you should take over this news and notes segment. I feel like
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. I definitely should not. I don't have enough sources. I just have Facebook, and that's it.
All right. Well, let's go to our
very good source.
Let's go to our favorite part of the show then.
Oh, actually, I like this part now.
Hear ye, hear ye. Here is Supreme Commissioner Yee with a Fantasy Ruckers Leagues update. You like this part now, Maddie? I mean,
because I morally got to win. You won't talk about it, but I morally got to win this week.
Fair enough. Well, let's talk about what we talk about at the beginning of this segment each and every episode. The weekly challenge. If you want to dip your toes in trying out Fantasy MLR, the weekly challenge, the TFR weekly challenge is a great way to do that. And in week 11, we had an exciting bout, had some interesting choices to be made. A lot of us, I could imagine, were siding with a whole bunch of Houston SaberCats guys, and it led to some pretty high-flying points here, but none of us getting the top position there. It's actually one of our workers for the Fantasy Rucker Show. Yeah, that's right. We have employees now. Our community moderator, Stephen Lowen, who's in our main Fantasy Ruckers League, he takes it this week. 11th on the season, but this will push him up a little bit. Finishes first overall here, gets 53.6 fantasy points. I'm going to throw it in there, though. Not far off. I'm second place with 48.9. I mean, I might not be doing so hot in the regular fantasy, but I guess the weekly challenge is my cup of tea, because I'm still first place here with 48.9.
Yeah, you got to win somewhere.
Bogus.
Got to win somewhere. And Maddie, you're still second on the season, so success there too. But finished 7th this week. Oof. And Vandy, again, I'll say it every episode. Consistent in being mediocre.
Yep.
Ninth on the week, 8th on the season. Yeah, I mean, like we said, we know what to expect from you, Vandy.
Mediocrity.
All right, and then now shifting on over, we like to highlight a Fantasy Ruckers League member every week that scored the highest number of points across all of our leagues. And this week, look at the Fantasy Ruckers staff showing up, because our analytics guru, Nick Johnson, the Chicago Carnivores, the commissioner of the Lou Malnati's Deep Dish League, scores the highest points this week, 112.4, and puts on a nice showing there with another big dub.
Way to go.
What do those feel like? Big dubs.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to come by. But nonetheless, congrats to Stephen Lowen for winning our weekly challenge here in week 11, and to Nick Johnson of the Chicago Carnivores for being our top fantasy manager of the week. All right.
Eats the meat.
He eats the meat. All right, you want to go into an exciting week 11 that was?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. San Diego, New England on bye. What is this with the league? Liking to start off with Anthem Rugby Carolina on the showcase each and every week. I feel like they always have a Friday matchup and they're always the first matchup. It's not going to change in week 12, but they start
Friday Night Lights, baby.
Yeah, I guess so. They start week 11 here taking on the best team in the league. That is the Houston SaberCats in what was pretty much a drubbing of a match. 38-15 here. Win for the Houston SaberCats. They go to 9-1. Anthem are still looking for their very first win of the season. They now are the first team with double-digit losses, 0-10. And in what was probably a very expected result for all of us.
Yep, this is the only expected result, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting though. Houston got off to a real fast start.
Yeah.
But in the second half, I mean, what? They scored 5 points?
Yep.
No, they scored 12,
No.
5, 12,
No.
5 points?
5 points. 33.
Yeah, it was like
33.
33-3. I mean, Anthem, I mean, the second half always seems to be a nice little optimistic boost for them. You've seen many games in the past where the second half just seems to be like their bread and butter. I'm not sure if the team starts lifting the pedal off the gas or if Anthem is just kind of, they need a half to figure it out. But yeah, it's nice to see kind of sparks of goodness from that team.
Interesting kind of lineup decisions in this one. Obviously, like we mentioned, Oscar Caller is not in the lineup right now, whether that's due to injury or possibly other ventures in the rugby world. But Tarangatira Waitokia starting at the 10 position. He's been basically at the center and occasionally at the back 3 position this season. He starts at 10. And then no Davy Kutzer appearance and sight in this week 11 lineup, which has Davy Kutzer owners kind of a little bit worried, I think, in terms of where he's at right now. Again, information is not necessarily the most accessible when it comes to availability in the MLR, but we haven't heard any Davy Kutzer news in terms of whether it's injury, anything else when it comes to this. So some interesting names that were showing up here in the points list.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough going without Kotzer, but I just want to give a shout out. That field looks incredible. Okay, so often you're watching an MLR game and there's just lines everywhere, and it's like eye porn. But you know what? Like, I tell you, I don't know what to say about Houston other than they're just a buzzsaw. They are a damn buzzsaw. Called it since week 1. See in the Shield. I think Anthem was just kind of outclassed, kind of totally here. I think one thing they could really work on is their kicking and not just the conversion and penalty kicks. I mean, just adding that repertoire into your game, because so many times you're like, just kick the damn ball out and they don't, and they hold and then they lose it. And then Houston does their thing.
Yeah. Yep. And only one, surprisingly, team of the week honoree in this one, despite kind of one of the higher scoring matches in this week 11. We'll dish it out to Houston back 3. Jeremy Misangalu, 19.2 fantasy points for him. Has 53 on the season now. It's his first double-digit fantasy point performance of the year so far.
And his only.
75 meters gained, 2 tries, 4 tackles. He was definitely the biggest benefactor when it came to taking on the Anthem this week for the Houston. Again, we always mentioned on this show, there's a back 3 always to be selected here. That's going to pop off when they take on the Anthem. It's just trying to find and guess the right one. This week it was Misangalu. A couple other players, Lourdes Vanderskiff. Maddie, I know we've have you on record about kind of his appearance
only
in the
his defense. Only his defense.
But he looks not too bad. 86 meters gained, a try, 5 tackles with 15.6 fantasy points.
There you go. 5 tackles. So yeah, just adds to my point here.
Yeah.
AJ Alatimu, 14 points for him, just doing Alatimu things with the absence of Davy Kutzer. And then on the Anthem side, we got Tarangatira Waitokia with his first appearance at fly half, getting 15.1, had the conversion kick and the penalty kick, 82 meters gained, and a try assist. I will say, for me, like, he was supposed to be in my lineup, and I know we talked about this last show, Maddie, about how Tarangatira Waitokia is kind of like a lock in your lineup going forward, but it did scare me, him at the fly half position, and it did lead me to bench him over some other center options that I had that made it tough.
That's fair enough. I mean, you just never know, especially when you're not used to him, and 10 just isn't a position that's known to score that high.
Yeah.
But I think now you know that you can just trust him anywhere he gets put in that lineup. So I hope he's not a 10. I hope they kind of move Cliven Lobster back. I thought he did pretty well last game. And Turinga Waitokia can kind of get back to the outside backs or outside center where he kind of shines and provides the full fantasy value.
Then a couple other guys, Junior Goffa had a solid showing, his third straight double-digit fantasy point performance for the Anthem, 13.2 fantasy points with the 16 tackles he had. And a guy that we'll get into more in our waiver wire segment, Tomasi Alosio for the Anthem in his second start of the year, third appearance overall. In both the games he started now in weeks 10 and 11, he has double-digit fantasy points, has his first triple-digit meters gains game of the season with 102 meters gain, adds a try assist and 3 tackles for his 13.1 fantasy.
I don't want to say that he was my waiver wire pickup last week, but he literally was my waiver wire pickup last week. So maybe people should listen to me.
They don't like listening to you. I don't think they choose because they know it's good advice sometimes, but it's coming out of your mouth, Maddie.
Hey,
it makes it
nothing
tough to
wrong
take
with that. Sucks to suck.
Sucks to
and
suck.
Vandy doesn't listen to me. That's for sure.
That's for sure. All right.
No, maybe I should.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to the second match of the Friday night. We had 2 Friday night matchups.
This is where the crazies start, Ryan.
That's right. I thought Dallas looking good. They were coming off of a tough loss to the San Diego Legion the week before, a 30-24 loss there, and they go up against the RFC Los Angeles side, which you would expect with how we've been talking about the Dallas Jackals to go in there and perform, but they did not, and it was a back and forth game.
Yeah,
but I messaged in our Discord chat. For me, when you want to make that jump to becoming a good established team, it comes down to execution and discipline in the most pivotal minutes. And in the last, it was like 2 minutes, you have a missed line out that ended up as a turnover, plus the late yellow card, I believe, or the late penalty resulted in RFC Los Angeles getting that advantage and getting that last last minutes penalty kick that would result in them winning the game 29-26.
That those lineouts though for LA, man, those were money. I
think pretty good.
Well,
2 tries off the set piece.
Yeah, I gotta say though, that Dallas Mall defense was absolutely pathetic.
Man, I think
that was probably the worst effort of Mall defense I've ever seen.
Like the commentator said, maybe that's the link in Dallas's chain.
Maybe.
But
maybe. But it wasn't just that. I mean, look, they had a lot of issues. Like they had lack of discipline at the scrum. They got absolutely blown out of the water in the scrum, basically the entire game. Lack of discipline throughout the entire game. And for me, Dallas I don't understand why this game plan seemed to change, but we always talked about how Dallas was so good with ball in hand, but they just decided that they were just going to kick the ball away. They were just going to continuously just kick the ball back to LARFC and not even respect that team and assume that you can just win off territory. They were never going to win off territory in this game, and their discipline did not help them. You're not going to win off territory when you keep taking penalties. And they're just basically kicking for touchdown the field. So credits to LA. Their set piece killed it. Their scrum absolutely destroyed it. But their offense actually looked pretty good with their backline finally healthy. It seems like they finally found some fit.
And establishing himself back in there, which is good to see.
And Jordan Chait.
Game winner appearance. Ice in his veins.
Which we'll get into again more in the waiver wire segment.
Yeah. I mean, let's switch over to kind of the fantasy wise. 2 big injuries here that I think have huge fantasy impact. Von Isaac seen walking in crutches at halftime.
Yeah.
So he's probably done for a few weeks for sure, at least. And then Holland's head goes off with an injury as well, allowing for Chait to come in for that, 40 plus minutes.
Which is why he's going to be a big name there coming up here in the waiver wire segment. But insider news here, got it from a message from one of the Dallas Jackals faithful.
Because you're a fandom now, right?
The name in Isaacs is apparently Vogun.
Yes, that's what the announcers keep saying, but I can't believe them.
It's true. It is true.
Because there's a city in Ontario called Vaughan, and I
have confirmed it.
You know what? I'm not saying. You know what? Letters mean something, okay? Letters in a name,
but letters in different languages mean different things, Vandy.
Yeah, well, figure it out.
Well, all I'll say is, he didn't get to choose his name, so it's Vogon. moving here forward. I'm going to establish that here moving forward. I mean, I heard, Vandy, that your son Louis has like a silent Q at the start of his name. Well, like,
That's
I mean,
right.
what's that?
That's messed up.
That's right, because I'm just trying to
It's
be with
messed
the
up.
times. Quick shout out though, Ben Strang with that sick little soccer kick try. That was sweet. That
It's
was
always
sweet. Little shout out.
You know, you'll find a soft spot in Vandy's heart when the big boys
The
are doing
big boys.
not
Andrew
doing.
Cole, nice try with the handoff, but you know what?
Yeah.
That's my boy Ben Strang. Big boy try. Love it.
There you go. The coordination there. See, big boys can do it
God.
too, Vandy. The big boys can do it too. But yeah, let's talk about fantasy performances here, because in this back and forth affair, we had the most team of the week honorees in this one. And I say this before we get into these individual players. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Maddie,
you're wrong.
But do you think that the Dallas Jackals are essentially a rich man's Anthem RC, where you're not going to rely on this team's defense of them winning games, but this is an offense that you can buy into? So from a fantasy perspective, you're going to have guys that perform. It's going to be different.
Are you comparing Dallas to Anthem?
That was
from
cold.
a fantasy standpoint. You said, I have it on the record where you say there are guys on this Anthem squad, this offense,
yes,
that are adequate and have a solid offense.
What else you got on the record?
Dallas is the same way, but better. That also does not have a good defense.
I don't agree.
Okay.
No.
I think Dallas has shown games where they've had a very good defense. This game was not the case. They were brutal this game, but they definitely shown that they could have a good defense. And I think Dallas, definitely to the rich man part, their offense takes another huge step above the Anthem and provides a lot more consistency and more players across the board that can really give you the guys. I don't know why you're holding that up. Who are we believing in?
Well, because now that you've said that, I mean, we believe.
Who are we believing in? Your team, Dallas Jackals?
Yeah, well, I got sent this nice scarf from
a Dallas. That's not even the Dallas Jackals colors.
From the Jackal Den. I think it's a little bit obscured in the camera of the zoom lens, but yeah, I got sent this from the Jackal Den. We believe. I'm now a den dog.
He's a den dog.
I'm a den dog.
I believe that's pronounced den dog.
There we go. Nonetheless, though, let's get into fantasy performances here. We'll start off with LA because they are the ones that came out up top on this one. We got to give a shout out to Ben Strang, front rower, team of the week here for week 11. Had a solid showing again. Had that nifty little try that was more back-esque than forward-esque with the help of Andrew Coe in this one. But yeah, Ben Strang looking solid in this one. But I think more so, and he was just short because there were a whole bunch of big time back row performances this one. But Jason Dom, I mean, back rower of RFCLA, scoring 24.7 fantasy points in this one, 59 meters gained, and a hat trick of tries.
This is how you know your Maul defense was so bad that the Maul didn't even have time to hand it back to the front rower.
It's true.
All right. Ben Strang could have got even more tries, but Dallas defense on the Maul was so bad that they didn't even need to hand it back to the front rower and to the hooker.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
And twice. Then twice. That's right. Michael Ramirez, another back rower that did solid for Los Angeles, 13.5 fantasy points with 102 meters gained. And then switching on over to the Dallas side, let's dish out our team of the week honoree for the back row position, Sam Tuifua. 28.3 fantasy points. He now has every single game he's played in this season at the 8th position for the Jackals. He scored above 12.3 fantasy points. He's coming off of a week last appeared in round 9 where he scored 20 fantasy points. Doesn't appear in round 10, back out here in round 11, has 28.3. He scored triple-digit meters gained in 4 out of the 5 games that he's played in, and has double-digit tackles in 4 of the 5 games he's played in. This guy's electric.
Jason Dam would have got it if it wasn't for Tuifua, but Tuifua earned this one. He earned this one more than Jason Dam. Jason Dam just, ran in off the back of a great set piece, but Tuifua, boy, did he ever play.
Yeah, it was pretty electric there. And then some other Dallas Jackals performers. Another team of the week honoree in this one. Let's give it out to the scrum half for the Dallas Jackals, Juan D. Olivier. Maddie, you had him as your waiver wire pickup.
I sure did. You should never have dropped him.
He had 11.6 fantasy points in this one. And he played in the full 80 minutes too, with 65 meters gained, 7 tackles.
And you want to hear another guy who also had a great week and who also was on my waiver wire, Makina Alicam.
That's true.
Yeah, another guy gets 17.9, Ryan. 17.9, I believe. Fantasy points. Yeah. Just another beast out there. That guy loves to have that ball in between the 15 channels. Oof. He looks good.
And then got to show some love, obviously, to the defense set piece. We said that LA looked solid, and obviously they capitalized. They got 7 fantasy points, which is pretty stellar for.
Pretty sure it's 3.
No, it's 7. It's 7. It's the columns there are need to get fixed, but it's 7 fantasy points. Because they had let me pull it up here. They got the 2 try assists or 3 try assists. And the bonus point.
Wow.
Deservedly
so. For them.
So RFCLA is the bonus point set piece team of the week. All right, let's go on to now our first matches on Saturday. We start off with a banger. NOLA Gold, Seattle Seawolves. Seawolves out in front pretty big to start off this match, and NOLA just clawed their way back. And this is what we talk about every single time, every season with the NOLA Gold. There are times where they look great, and there are times they just look so bad. And I never know when to predict each one. In this case, in week 11, they looked pretty dang good once they beat the Seattle Seawolves 32-31.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, Seattle looked really good early. Their offense was looking extremely clean, extremely quick. But then they just started making a lot of unforced errors. I mean, they just started making a lot of unforced errors. Really had some weird tactical subs. I mean, Dan Creel went off pretty early. Sorry, Vanny, that's a tough one for you. But the other thing,
add it to the list.
JP Smith getting that card at the end there, that killed them. They had no way of coming back once JP Smith got that card because it just like they had no playmakers out there. Sam Windsor had to go into the back of the ruck and dish the ball every time, and you need a playmaker out there out in that back line. But yeah, got to give credit to NOLA. I mean, they took advantage of the ill discipline of Seattle. They got into Seattle's end through penalties. They had a strong maul, and they just beat Seattle up with the forwards near the goal line, and they just did it. I mean, Callum Botcher a couple of tries by doing that. Jonah Moe is a beast. But yeah, it was just, I wouldn't say that it was amazing by NOLA. I think they definitely got helped out by Seattle making some errors and having some ill discipline there.
Well, you got to give them credit because they finally strung together a second half. You know what I mean? We've been saying that all year. You know what? They might come out to a hot start and then they never show up in the second half. So
I don't know.
To them.
Kudos to them for playing 80 minutes. Way to go! You
beat Seattle. At the end of the day, you beat Seattle.
It's true.
There we go. That is
that NOLA team on paper. Last week we no shot they beat Seattle. Now, they did it.
Yeah, they did it. And I mean, they're sitting at 5-4. They're not out of this thing. It just depends what NOLA team you're going to get each and every week. I'll ask you this, Maddie, because you've been our in-house kind of NOLA guy. Does this instill any more confidence with NOLA moving forward here?
Because they're going to suck the same next week. So it'll be fine. But I will say that they were playing quicker ball, and I really like that out of them. They're going to suck next week anyways, so it's not a big deal. Last thing on the game, that yellow card was absolute horse poop. I don't even know what else to say about that.
The TMO I felt was rough that game. The commentators on 2 different occasions made a comment. The one was
those
about
commentators also suck.
Yeah, that's true. But the Luke Campbell, though, the try that got called off, the commentator literally goes, "Oh, that's a try. I could see it from here." And then all of a sudden,
that guy is like miles and miles away from the game.
And then Seattle at the end there, that obstruction call that got looked at. How is that not obstruction?
I don't know.
Basically,
I don't know.
Defenders
too
way
many
out
questions.
In front of the ball. How's that? Whatever.
Look at you, Vandy.
Too many questions.
I know when we first started this show that we were saying, "Hey, let's get you suited up and get you sent to the MLR training camp." But why don't we send you to like a reffing clinic? Maybe that's your calling.
Yeah,
I mean, it is.
You every single show, you amaze me that you know these things. So maybe that's
you know what it is. Ever since playing sports, I have the biggest vendetta against refs. So I make sure.
But you know what the thing is too. Don't lie to me. I know another part of it is that you probably be gassed within the first 5 minutes,
dude.
But maybe
30 seconds.
maybe they can get an exception for you. You can have one of those like little segways or something.
Dude,
you can
I'm just rolling around with those mobile scooters.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. Let's get into some of the individual guys. I guess we'll start off
before we get into the individual points. I do want to point out. I mean, fantasy wise, Dorian Jones' injury coming off for Reese Botha is something that finally provides some stability at the 10
At the
position
10.
in terms of who's starting. So
That's true.
it seems like, I mean, Rodney Iona wasn't in the lineup. Actually,
Yeah.
by the way, it makes this win a little bit more impressive as well for the NOLA side that one of their top guys wasn't in, and JP Duplessis wasn't in. But yeah, Dorian Jones, I mean, it at least opens one spot for Reese Botha and Reese Botha owners to kind of be a little bit more comfortable. Or if he's in your waiver wire, kind of be like, hey, are they finally gonna pick a guy?
And you know what? I'll stick to my guns here because I do remember a few episodes back, now that we're on Dorian Jones. I mean, he's an adequate 10. Like if you have him, like he's good. And I think I recall, if we bring up the tape, I was told that they were against Anthem and LA in the games that he started in and had really good showings. I mean, 8.3 against Seattle in a game that they win. Not too bad. Not too bad for Dorian Jones. So we'll see.
Well, he played
we'll
33 minutes and he's probably out for a week at least.
That's true. It's true. But nonetheless, in the shining light that he had for those 33 minutes, it was a beautiful thing. Anyways, let's get to some other individual performances. We'll dish out another team of the week on a re. Hey, Matt, you know this guy.
Yeah.
You've talked about him before.
All the time.
Callum Botcher. Why don't you, instead of telling me his fantasy points, why don't you tell him about his diet and how much he eats that led to his 12.5 fantasy point performance, coming off the bench with 2 tries and only 10 meters gained and 5 tackles, but he got it done.
Look, this big man used to come up to me and go, hey, you know how I get the most gains? I got to have a peanut butter toast and a scoop of yogurt right before bed. And I said, hell yeah, Botch, you get that. And that's what he would do every night.
Maybe that's the key to just absolutely killing it. A scoop of yogurt, peanut butter sandwich right before bed.
And he was right there at the right time. NOLA Gold was reading their forwards a lot during that try near the goal line. They didn't even sniff the backs and they were just going at it. And Callum Botcher was just right there for the taking.
Jonah Moe. You said it, Matt. He's a beast. 21.1 fantasy points for him, 87 meters gained, 2 tries for Mo. Hugh Taylor did a pretty solid that's the Seattle, getting ahead of myself. Olajuwon Noah. I know, figure it out. Olajuwon Noah, 12.4 for him. Taniela Philemoni has been pretty solid, Vandy. He's been a bright spot of your fantasy lineup, 10.8 for him. And Ed Fido back in the lineup after being injured for a bit, 9.4. Not really a fantasy performance to point out, but just to say that Ed Fido is back. But switching over to Seattle, giving out our center team of the week honoree. Didn't do it at the center position, but I believe he will be losing his center eligibility soon, is Devon Rousseau, 19.4 fantasy points for his highs of the season, 2 tries, 90 meters gained.
Yeah, I mean, he always finds a way to find himself in the right position and find a way to either make a lot of meters gained or score some tries. That guy's been a beast of a player this year. And I remember, I'm going to eat my words because I remember saying, how the heck does Devin Rousseau get drafted ahead of Duncan Matthews? And hey, he's making it worth it.
Other guys, now we get to Hugh Taylor, who had 13.4 fantasy points in his first start since round 5, which was good. And then the only other Seattle was that was of kind of note, Tony Pulu, with that rotating back 3. He scores 9.3 for there.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Not really seeing the wingers. I thought for a second Tony Pulu and Jade Stadling were going to go off this game, but NOLA, I mean, hey, they came to play.
Yeah. And you would expect that in a 32, like a game that had 63 points, most of it happening elsewhere, i.e. bench strings for back-esque skills from the forward position. All right, let's go on to the Chicago Hounds now, taking on Old Glory DC. I'll admit it first, okay?
What was it?
What was what?
Say it.
Admit what?
What are you going to admit?
I was giving a little bit of flack to the Old Glory DC crew on our Discord.
You did. I also said they suck.
Mainly,
I would never.
John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning. He was calling us out. I said he was a little bit salty after that rainy great loss against Miami. I wasn't convinced by Old Glory DC. Can't say I'm convinced yet, but Old Glory DC comes out with the victory here, 22-21. For the record, though, I will say, and Fitzy did mention it to me, that he did bet against Old Glory DC. Like, he picked them in his picks for Chicago to win. So even the fan in him. Vandy, you can teach him a little something about being a dedicated fan to your squad. But hey, what do you think about this?
There's a homer, and then there's money in play.
There you go.
There you go.
What do you think about this 22-21, another 1 point deciding victory here for DC?
Yeah, wow. You mean OGDC just can't get away from 22s, but no, I thought Old Glory played well defensively. I thought defensively really helped them. Offensively, I don't know if they had too much, but Chicago just took a bunch of penalties that allowed them to get near the points, right? Like it just allowed them to get into a good spot in the field. And we saw that with the Facundo Goddess try, right? Like they can get into the right part of the field and Old Glory DC Mall can just kind of do the rest of the work. So it helped them out that way. And I just thought Chicago, I mean, without Billy Meeks in the lineup, it's tough because they don't have that same, like Billy Meeks, you don't realize just how, yes, he didn't work out at 10, but at the center position, he becomes such a good distributor and a ball carrier that he adds so much for the offense. You didn't see the same from the Chicago Hounds that you would want to see that they've been excelling at. And they just simply couldn't manage with the Old Glory DC shooters. I mean, Old Glory DC was shooting up at 13 every time, anytime they got a chance. And they just couldn't deal with it. They started to figure out in the last 10 minutes, but other than that, I mean, they struggled. But yeah, they really were missing Billy Meeks.
You know what? Shout out to Billy though. Congratulations, man.
Yes, missing the game because he had a kid. Vandy knows what that's like, so he can understand. Me and Maddie are still
best thing ever, boys.
Just in time for Mother's Day.
Just in time for Mother's Day. And I will say, and I texted in our group chat that with the absence of Billy Meeks and kind of the interesting lineup that they put out there, you had obviously Cardi out with that injury with the HIA the week before. Dave Kearney comes in at 15. O'Keefe is outside now on the wing, which we've seen him at the center, got a yellow as well. So kind of an interesting line, which had me kind of concerned whether or not the prediction was coming in. Yellow. But I mean, the low points and the lack of kind of offensive firepower that happened in this match was reflected in the fantasy performances that were had in this game.
Yeah, and before we get into the points, right, I just got to bring up Banana Schultz. I mean, this guy is a liability. Like
how's he the captain making decisions like that?
I was gonna like fantasy wise, just a liability. Like you can't be making. There's a couple things that I saw that just it irked me, and like I hate it. One, he punched Captain Canada 3 years back, so I'm still pissed about that. But like, look, you come back off of a red card. Yeah, whatever. Did you deserve it? I don't care. But you come in and show the league and everybody that hey, you're just gonna come in and get another card, and you're due for a card every 3 games. So like. Yeah. Fantasy wise, that's just a liability to work with. And rugby wise, like as a captain, you do not like
you can't be
the way that he talked to the
decisions
like that, and the way you talk to the ref, like you gotta be calmer about it. But like you take Banana Schultz early in the draft because he has that name value and he has performed. And like you got a red card in one, he gets suspended, you get a yellow card in another. He's played 5 games and he's gotten a card in 2 of them. Like that's just, it's hard for fantasy managers to even trust him.
And I mean, and to your point, Maddie, I mean, without that yellow, he has a solid fantasy point performance.
Yeah.
Like he would have been in double digits, would have got around that 10-point mark. Finishes off with 6.4 instead. So definitely something that fantasy managers don't want to see. But on the brighter side, though, let's talk about some other guys on this Old Glory DC side. No team of the week honorees in this match with the low scoring game, but we had a few kind of all right performers. Damian Hoyland, 11.8 for him. Tavita Nakali, 11.2. And then we have Facundo Goddess with a 9.5 fantasy point performance at that front row position.
Yeah, I mean, look, whoever's starting at front row, you just gotta like, you have a pretty good shot with this Old Glory DC team. If they can get in the right position, you're gonna be happy with the results.
And then shifting onto the Chicago side, Bryce Campbell there gets 16.3 fantasy points with the try that he scored. Mark O'Keefe, 12.2, even with the yellow card there. So would have had an even better matchup for that. And then last at the center position, Cash Malua.
Hey, you're the one with the file.
Yeah.
11.2 fantasy points, 38 meters gained in the try. I just don't like the awkward silence after when I try to pronounce it. You guys got to back me up here. With this.
I'm not backing anything. You think I know any better?
There you go. All right, let's go on to the last matchup of the week.
Hey, before we go into just this great endowed Jason Robertson for fantasy managers, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. I don't understand. I don't know what's happening. Yes, Great and Bowd got the win, But like we gotta. This is tough. This is tough to watch.
So that's now back-to-back weeks now that Graydon Bowd has started at the 10th position. 6.7 fantasy points for him. As a fantasy manager, not really producing for you fantasy-wise, but are you holding on to Graydon Bowd because of the decisions that overall he's making?
You have to,
No,
because
no,
if you don't
you
see
have to
Jason
look
on the
at-
bench, then you get 10 points.
Yeah, and also look at if you have a guy that's starting, you keep him because the fly half pool
There's
in
nothing
probably
there.
all the leagues is just ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
you are picking up backups at this point.
Yeah. All right. Let's now go on to the last game of the weekend. A tough one for Vandy. Should I just hand it off to you, buddy? You want to talk about this?
Yeah, let him go. Let him cook.
All I'll say is 20-19 victory for Miami. Vandy, take it away.
I mean, it was 20-0 until 74 minutes into the game when we finally got some points, man. It was, I mean, yeah. Like, what do you guys got? 20 minutes? Like, I could just go
we don't
off.
got that time.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the last 6 minutes, really enjoyable.
Hey, looked awesome.
Last 6 minutes was awesome. Ref was handing out yellow cards like he just went to
Holy
Hallmark.
crap, right?
You know, you get a card, you get a card, you get a card.
Hey, to be fair, Dylan Nell deserved that one.
Yeah, well.
Dylan Nell deserved that one. Dylan Nell was straight up trying to kick a dude in the face.
Yeah, well, you know what?
No,
Sometimes we gotta look at what cost. Okay.
No. There's no kick people.
What do they say in hockey, Vandy? It's always the second guy in that gets the penalty.
Yeah, you
we
still
know
go
that.
in.
We've learned that. We learn it.
You
Okay,
go
well,
in.
you got to pay the price then. You got to pay the price.
Yeah,
Bonasso got everything he ever wanted out of that play.
That was so
Dylan Nell
garbage.
gets the red. Okay. Bonasso also gets to put like what five left hand hooks straight to the ribs.
Exactly.
Oh, well, look, kicking to the face and putting left hand hooks, that's two very different levels of discipline.
I think,
now you sound like the disciplinarian for the NHL.
I might be.
It's funny hearing Vandy do this because we just talked about Vaughn on a Schultz. I feel like if
you were just talking about
if Vandy was playing rugby, I feel like
compared to Vaughn on a Schultz yellow card this weekend, Dylan Nell exceeded that by 50.
You know what? I got a soft spot for old Nell, so you know what? It doesn't matter. I would have done the same thing.
Vandy would be.
My gosh, this is why we're keeping you off the field.
Yeah, this is why I should have played rugby.
Vandy would be the fantasy Ruckers team Vaughn on a Schultz. He'd be getting a disciplinary hearing from the MLR every single week.
But you know what? One last thing. Honestly, on Miami, they didn't play that good. They didn't even play that good. It's just, whatever.
Let's talk about a guy that you not only beat your boys and was a large reason why Miami beat Utah, but he was also a large reason why you lost this week in fantasy, and that was Santiago Videla. I mean, he's been playing pretty solid at the 10th position with them moving Philippe Echeverry back to the fullback. 18.1 fantasy points, a try, his second try of the year, 63 meters gain, and 11 tackles for a fly half. I mean, Santiago Videla, pretty solid fly half for you in fantasy circles if you got him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of funny. We were talking about whether we would want Echeverry at 10, whether we'd want Santiago Videla. I think Videla with the last game at least has shown like maybe heard us and said, "Hey, I deserve this spot.
We missed
CK. I deserve this starting spot." Yeah, that is true.
Bring back Paul.
Well, now Videla has a team of the week. Fly half honoree to his name now. Add that to his awards list there, on top of beating Vandy's fantasy team and team. Couple other Miami guys to mention. Avery Oideman, and that's a guy that we haven't said in a while.
Old Arrows.
Not since his Arrows days. He has his by far his best fantasy point performance of the year, 13.3 with 112 meters gain and a try assist.
I saw this one. He made a break on the wing and he put his signature step on Mika Kruse. And I was like, wow, I've seen that one in training way too many times. And that's worked on me about every time. He looked really good. And I'm hoping that we kind of see this form continue.
Manuel Ardeo for Miami. He's kind of just a lock and play for him. 12.7 for Ardeo. And then lastly,
I mean, that was with a yellow card, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's also a liability with the yellow card.
He's got 3 on the season so far, but
Yeah,
hasn't had
two in the last 2 games.
Yeah, it's fair, but it's okay. It's okay. He's learning. He's learning.
I'd
Just
take him.
kind of getting accustomed to the MLR way of life. And then lastly, here from Miami, Felipe Echeverri, even from the fullback position, is 11.4 fantasy points, 94 meters gained, 5 tackles. And then shifting onto the Utah side, Hunga Havili, 16.3 fantasy points for him with the try for Utah and the 78 meters gained he had.
Hey, and we'll get to waivers, but we got to watch him. Nell's going to be out for at least 4 weeks, at least.
Yeah.
Nell's suspended for at least 4 weeks, so this is going to be a big waiver wire week.
And we'll get into that. And then Vandy, you must be happy. Caleb McEnany, 13.2 for you, buddy.
Help you win, bud.
But we had questions about Caleb McEnany. And now 4 of the last 3 fantasy point. It's true, you didn't.
No, we just got questions about the Rucking Goat.
5 of the last 4 fantasy point performances have been double digits for him. So Caleb McEnany.
Yeah, what was the one that wasn't? 3.
It's true. He's a boomer, but that's the thing. We haven't said about him being a boomer bust guy. It just seems like this year he is.
Oh, wait, who'd you lose to that week?
You know what, guys? Look at the time here. I've really enjoyed it. And
gotta go.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, again, tough matchup there to wrap up the week. 20-19 victory for Miami. But yeah, like kind of Maddie alluded to, with some of the events that happened through the course of week 11, there are some guys that we need to look out for on the waiver wire here. And for a week 12 waiver wire, there are actually some guys on this list that you may want to keep an eye out for here moving forward. But let's get into our front row position here. I will start off. Ben Strang. He had a very, very solid performance for LA this past week in their victory. He has 55.5 fantasy points on the season so far. Obviously, like Vandy said, showed off the back-esque capabilities that he has.
He's got pace.
He's got pace, but he also tackles as well. I mean, only 2 of the matches out of I believe 9 that he's played in this season, including when he's come off the bench, he has double-digit tackles, and it gives you that good floor. And I mean, he's coming off of 4 straight weeks where he's scored above 5 fantasy points, and he has a season high 11.1. I would put a waiver claim in, no fab bucks for Ben Strang.
You want to talk about a guy who's got pace? Jarrett Adams. This guy, I don't understand. He just gets the ball so many times. Watching that NOLA game, he finds his way to the ball. Somehow he steps at his size. And he's just a beast. I like watching him. I like the way he plays. I think he could be a nice little cheeky pickup here. In the last 2 games that he's played, he's had 49 plus carry meters or meters gained. So that's a nice thing to get from that front row position. And yeah, I wouldn't put any fab on him, but hey, I love me some Jarrett Adams.
All right, moving on to the second row position. Another guy I wouldn't put fab on, but hey, he's a guy if you need the second row position, I'd be happy to have. That's Gene Drost on the Seattle Seawolves. We've mentioned it many times on the show about when it comes to these low point threshold positions, all you're looking for is opportunity and being on the field. And Drost kind of ticks off that box. He's gone basically all season long except for 1 match where he hasn't got at least that 70-minute bonus point, and he's got into the 80-minute mark twice. He's done it in back-to-back weeks where he's played at least 70 minutes, which is solid for you. And he's also coming in those same 2 weeks, back-to-back games where he's got double-digit tackles. So if you just need a streamer for second row position, again, we got Old Glory DC and Miami on bye. Not too sure how many second row guys you have from those teams, but if you do need a streamer, Gene Drost can be a guy for you for that.
Yeah, and my only thing with Gene Drost is that Mahonry Nakuru is still there, and I think he's a starter there with Rhino Herbst, but we'll see. My guy got Theo Vukasinovic. I think I got that one, maybe, but yeah, not much at the second row position for me. It was really more so the matchup that they're coming up. They got the Anthem coming up next. And you just, like, if you need a second row and you know you're going to need a second row, he might be the next guy up.
49.6 fantasy points for Gene Drost on this season so far, 14.8 for Theo Vukasinovic for LA so far as well. Going on to the back row position, I'm now going matchup based as well here, Maddie. 2 guys I kind of had on my list for this back row position. If you have any of the DC back rowers, if you had Nana Schultz and you need a replacement here, if you had Lataro Bavaro on DC, if you have Ardeo, these are some of the guys that you can look out for. I'm going with Seta Baker for New England. 44 fantasy
like
points
it.
on the season. Again, Vian Conradi, we don't need to hammer it home every single episode, but out in the season. So this back row line has now been established with Seta Baker in it as a mainstay. And they are also taking on, and kudos and shout out to Nick Johnson, our fantasy Ruckers analytics guru. San Diego is among the top teams in the MLR when it comes to allowing fantasy points to the back row position. So averaging around 9 to 10 fantasy points every single match. So I think Seta Baker will be a good option there for you to plug and play and be that streamer for you this week, and may even be an option long-term for you. I've had him on my waiver wire before.
Yeah.
The only other guy that I want to mention is Albert O'Shaughnessy on Carolina Anthem. He has 48.2 fantasy points this season. He's coming off a game where he scored 10.5 against the Houston SaberCats this past week, and he's going up against LA, who again, according to our fantasy Ruckers analytics, is also allowing one of the most fantasy points to the back row position.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Seta Baker one. I think he's shown to be that replacement for Vian Conradi in terms of ball carries. I think Seta Baker has been outplaying Seagrin for fantasy wise, that's for sure. I've got Hunga Havili. We talked about that whole Dylan Nell red card. Yeah, Vandy, that's right. And he's going to be out at least 4 weeks, possibly 5, possibly more, because that was a pretty rough red card.
Whatever.
So Hunga Havili can probably fill that gap, get some points, have some opportunity. I will only say the risk with this one is that there's a good possibility that Frank Lockor is also kind of going to move to that back row position. So we'll see. You'll just have to find out when
right now, you pick up
but I wouldn't
Havili?
drop any fab.
He's coming off the bench.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm telling you right now.
Hey, you never know. I just called it. I just put him on the waiver wire, so
38
he's bound to do
next
well.
week. Watch.
He's bound to do well.
I would be willing to put down some for the long-term value of Seta Baker. Like I'd be willing if he's available to put like $1 or $2 on him just to make sure you lock him up as with the potential. What?
I thought
What?
I thought it's gonna I thought it's gonna be like something of some
Hey, when you only have
I would put down basically the minimum, really.
when you only
hammer home your point.
The app does make you put 0. The app does make you type in 0.
When you only have $7 fab bucks to your name for the rest of the season, $1 is
wait.
Okay.
Live trade. Graydon Bowd, $5.
No, because you know that a fly half.
$10.
If there was a kicking fly half available on the waiver wire, you'd be putting way more than $5. You'd be way more than $10. We'll chat.
233.
Graydon Bowd's gonna lose his job.
Yeah, that's one thing. But nonetheless, okay. About $3. Anyways, point being, Seta Baker's a guy that I wouldn't risk by just putting a $0 fab bid on him. I would put $1 on there. I wouldn't go crazy.
I feel you.
If you have it, Vandy, maybe put 5 to 10.
Yeah, I got some disposable income.
But Seta Baker could be a long-term option.
Yeah,
for
I
you.
don't.
No fab on Havili, Matt.
No. Yeah, no fab. I mean, I've got nothing to give. Okay. So to me, everybody's 0 fab.
All right. All right, let's go on to the scrum half position now.
Definitely 0 fab here.
Yeah, getting barren in these next two positions we're going to talk about at the scrum half fly half position. But I think, Matt, you and I are on the same page here when it comes to what we saw with the Chicago Hounds this past week. They're trying this Jason Higgins experiment at the 9 position.
It's not an experiment.
He's worked in the past. He did score, but again, we'll have that one game, that one hat-trick Higgins game once a year.
We do,
at the very least.
I mean, Nick McCarthy has been consistently awful in fantasy-wise. So, yeah. But to be fair, Ryan, to your point, Jason Higgins didn't have a great game. Time to bring Nick McCarthy back in. That's why you just want to start. That's it.
I will say something that is to
and
note,
they're going to be subbed out at 60 minutes, so that kind of stinks too.
That's true. That is true. Something I do want to note as well, if he is available in your waiver wire, Miami Sharks.
Kubeli came off the bench.
Kubeli came off the bench. So
yeah, I think Kubeli's going to start. I think Kubeli's going to start in the upcoming games. And Ciarte moved to center after Kubeli came in. Let's go.
Okay. So out of the kind of nines that split time, right? Like we're not
Literally,
talking about our Andre Warners or anything. We're talking about the low end guys. Like where does Kubeli fit in there? Like
well,
who are you-
Andre Warner's about to be on the
No,
list too because Jay Renton's now in there.
Yeah,
so.
but against Anthem though, Warner's going to be back this next week playing when it's competitive games. But you're not starting any of your starters against Anthem. But for scrum half positions, where does with a healthy Kubeli kind of now slot in that world of things like when it comes to Connor McManus, Cam Nordley, Kelly Meddy, the Jason Higgins, Nick McCarthy.
Well, I don't think Kubeli's gonna be splitting time.
Well,
I don't
no,
think
but
Kubeli's.
I get that. What I'm saying is like, then I guess your answer is that Kubeli is going to be above all those guys.
Well, I mean, Kubeli hasn't really done much either, but yeah, I mean, even when he does play, it's kind of tough. But yeah, I don't know. I think Kubeli will give you a 60, and he'll give you 2 points, similar to all the other nines here. I would probably go McCarthy over all these guys. I don't know. I also like when, like, if McManus is starting, he's played well every time. I actually like when he starts for Anthem. When you're going to those guys, I honestly think you have to just like stream.
All right. Well,
to stream.
Let's play the name game then.
Oh,
let's play the name.
Definitely
game.
Don't pick up Holden Younger. Like that's a stupid waiver wire pickup.
I didn't even say Holden Younger with this episode.
I just know that you've had him too many times.
Okay.
He's had 10 points on the season.
Let's play the name game here. All right. Do you want? You already said it. You take Nick McCarthy over Kubeli.
Yeah.
Higgins over Kubeli.
Higgins.
No.
Okay, so you take Kubeli over Higgins. Cam Nordley, Kelemeti.
I'd take Nordley Kelemeti on top of all those guys.
Okay. Kira McLeay.
Yeah, I would take Nick McLeay over all the guys.
Okay. All right.
McLeay is not splitting time anymore. Zion going is done.
All right.
Yeah.
McLeay has deserved that role. I've been saying that since week 1.
100%.
Since week 1.
All right. Well,
you Vandy over there were telling me no at like week 5, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, you know what? You live, you learn.
You don't even know your own squad.
Yeah. What did you do last week?
All right, and here's your weekly PSA: pick up Holden Younger. All right, let's shift on over to the fly half
Doesn't
position
have the chops no more.
Let's shift on over to the fly half position here. For me, this is a perspective ad. Yeah, fly half is even more barren than the scrum half position, but we did see a Jordan Chait appearance, and Jordan Chait was a guy that was highly sought after in draft. During draft time, we hadn't seen him.
He's starting this
appearance off the bench. He's probably going to start this week. He's probably going to kick this week against the Anthem. I mean, if Chait's available, I put $1 on him. I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. Way to go.
I would actually put like 10 to 15% of my fab on Jordan Chait.
Yeah, I mean,
what's 10 to 50% at $2, right?
Hey, you can't put cents down in our leagues, but if you have money, I would put 10 to 50%, assuming you have the full 100.
I mean, look, he's probably one of the last remaining 10. So like,
Graydon Bowd or Jordan Chait?
Jordan Chait.
So trade me Bowd.
We'll see.
I'm done.
You have Chait?
I will.
No. I have Caller though. Can we count points from the Bunnings NPC?
Yeah, sure.
You're the commissioner. It doesn't even start till after the season, Ryan.
True.
You're the commissioner.
Ryan, is Kian Meaden going to be in the waivers in time for waivers, or is that a no?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Breaking news. Yes, I will put Kian Meaden into the database.
Oh, lovely. Then he is officially my waiver wire pickup.
You know what? I always thought it should
just
be
hoping,
Keon
just hoping that
Badon.
he's in the lineup.
Would you put?
I thought, like, you know what? The first time I ever seen that name, I'm like, Keon Badon. I'm like, that's a sick name.
I'm pretty sure. Actually, I don't know.
I'm gonna go into
South Africa.
I'm gonna put into the pronunciation. I'm gonna go in the folder, and it's gonna be exactly that. I'm gonna be dying. But
yeah,
I'm like almost certain that it's Kian Meaden. Anyways, how much fab would you put down on Kian Meaden?
What, me myself? One.
Yeah. No,
if you actually were, I wouldn't put any. You just don't know, because you don't know if he's actually going to be in the lineup or not. Yeah. I would honestly put, like, just to make sure that you get him, like 4 or 5 maybe. But like that's if you're really desperate. If you're not desperate for a 10, then I would just
Chait or Meaden.
Chait.
Okay.
He can't.
Let's go now to the center position. Got some options here, unlike the other positions. I'm gonna kind of go with a high flying option. One that may be taken in your leagues. Maddie will have another option for you, but I'm gonna go with Tavita Kurajani. Obviously the big bucks were
That's
put
messed
down,
up.
on him
Yeah, all my big
earlier.
bucks.
When he became available and was in the lineup for the first time. He had kind of a slow start to his appearances, but he's kind of been picking it up. I mean, he now has 39.9 fantasy points on the season. He's gone 16.2 in round 10 for his high. He got 7.8 this past week. But he's the reassuring thing is that he's gone back-to-back weeks where he's played above or the full 80 minutes, essentially. Dan Creel leaves the game. I think Kuradrani is a guy that you could probably slot in your center position lineup now moving forward here. So
You know how many times I've seen in the past 4 games Kuradrani just get stepped? It's crazy.
see, that's the fun thing about fantasy, though, is that doesn't matter. We don't
Just
have
watch him
a
get steps. Yeah, but he just doesn't move. He can't move. I'm watching him. He can't move. Anyways, I hope he doesn't watch this. Love you, Kuradrani. You're a beast, and I'm scared of you. But for me, like center position, I'm going matchup here. James Stokes is probably on most waiver wires and definitely on ours. They're playing the Anthem. We like the center position. We like most positions against Anthem. Yes, we've seen them not do like centers do that. Like rankings, yes, probably at the top, but like we haven't necessarily seen a huge blow up of center position. But I like James Stokes. I think he could have a big game here. I'll throw another guy in there, Jason Tidwell. I mean, with the Vogan Isaacs injury, we could see. I mean, Tidwell be back on the wing, and he's had some big games on the wing. So yeah, he might be a big pickup there too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. All right, shifting on now to the back 3 position. The name that I'm going to throw out, also kind of matchup based, is Thomas Alacio, because
Yeah,
do you know who?
you're just copying me.
Well, he's still available. No one
It was a
listened. You didn't
joke.
even listen to your own waiver wire advice, and he had a pretty
I
good
didn't
week
have
at
I
13.1
didn't have
fantasy points.
space. Didn't have space. Too busy
Um,
with Vogan.
But either way, yes, the Anthem have been giving up the most fantasy points to the back 3 position, but guess who's been giving up the second most? LA, and they just gave up a whole bunch of points to Dallas Jackals, 26 points for them. So I can expect that the Anthem, with the adequate offense, Alacio, if he's starting again in the lineup, may have a big week for you. If you need a streamer, if you had any of the Axel Mullers, Damian Hoyland, any of those guys, Marcos Young on Miami. He's coming off back-to-back weeks. Every game he started has double-digit fantasy points, coming off his first triple-digit fantasy point performance. Alacio is a good pick.
Been started 2 games, right? Back 3, Nick Ben for me. Again, Vogan Isaacs injury. Just trying to figure out who the heck is going to be this guy's replacement. Who's going to reap up all those points that he's leaving on the table? I have a feeling that Winchester is probably going to move to 15, and they're going to have another guy move into the centers. Who that is, we don't know, and we'll find out. But yeah, I like Nick Ben here as that kind of fill-in.
And then lastly here, defense set piece. We always warn you people out there, try to look to see if maybe a defense set piece got dropped. 2 big ones would have been, I wouldn't see anyone be smart enough to drop New England, but maybe they had, because again, set piece is not that crucial of a position. But San Diego, New England, both run by, see if they were dropped. But the option for me that's largely available in a lot of leagues is RFC Los Angeles. They had their biggest performance of the past week, 7 fantasy points with the 3 try assists. LA is a solid option for you. Maddie, you have them down as your waiver wire pickup as well.
Yep.
Let's play the game again.
Oh boy.
I'm going to name teams. You tell me if you take the LA set piece over that. So obviously Anthem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're taking you're LA over that. Okay.
I didn't know if that was a trick question because the
Utah.
Anthem set piece literally sucks.
Miami Sharks.
Like this week?
Sure.
This week is different because this week LA is playing the Anthem.
Okay. But let's say, again, for a long-term perspective, because a lot of defense set pieces are locked up. If you have an 8-team league, basically every single one is taken almost. Over 3/4 of them are taken. So let's go to the middling teams then Maddie. If there's any, like, where does the line end for you where Los Angeles is a long-term option and not just a streamer this week?
No, literally, they're only a streamer this week.
Okay. So you don't take
I would have if I had a choice, I would have taken Old Gore DC, but they're on bye. And LA is playing Anthem.
Okay. Would you take LA? Would you drop a marquee set piece this week to pick up LA? Would you drop a Seawolves, a Chicago
No.
Hounds?
No.
Utah Warriors.
No.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it
Hey,
at
they
that. All
actually
right.
did it off the mall this week.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
true.
they lost, but they did do it off the mall.
All right, let's
True.
go into a week 12 preview now
They're
and
quaking.
talk about some of our predictions. A tough week for us boys. 1-4 for all of us. I think
Well,
we can share that same sentiment with a lot of the Major League Rugby community.
Hey,
I think
look.
a lot of
Will
people-
Hooley went 0-5. No, 1-4 as well. So we're good. We're
All
good,
right.
people.
That's the benchmark.
Oh, he knows his
Pretty
stuff.
good benchmark.
Pretty good benchmark. All right. 40-16-2 myself, still in the lead. Maddie, you're 39-17-2. Vandy still trailing behind. 35
Mediocrity, baby.
and 2. Yeah, there you
Keep-
go.
Keep
On
copying me,
bye,
that's why.
Miami and DC on bye this week. So if you have any of those players, make sure you get them out of your lineup. Check out any of the streamers we just talked about to have their replacements there. The first matchup of the week.
LA. Oh, sorry.
Anthem,
waiting for
Rugby
something?
Carolina, once again opening up the week at 0-10, taking on RFC Los Angeles, 2-6-2, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Friday.
I think they like getting the slaughter away first. So they
That's
just kind of
probably
get that out of
true.
the way.
Yeah.
Get all the good games coming up. But yeah, I mean, what do we just say LA, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, I said
But-
it on the episodes before. I am not going to pick this. They'll burn me. Anthem can burn me that one
But-
time. I'm not
but
betting on them until they win one.
I do think Anthem are going to score points here. I think they'll score points. I definitely think that they're going to have a lot of fantasy performers in this. Like maybe not team of the week caliber, but I think they'll have fantasy performers that are willing, like guys you mentioned, Ryan O'Shaughnessy.
Where would you put the
Um,
line? 6.5 points. LA wins by
Oh yeah, way more.
10.5.
I think the total,
It's
I
gotta
think
be
the
double
total
digit.
number of points will be above 40.
I think it's going to be like 30-12 or something.
That's over 40.
Nah, not in my math.
Damn, Matt. I thought you were smart. That's why you're on this show.
Oh, I don't know about that.
All right. Well, I guess we're all going LA here. Pretty straightforward stuff. Let's go to the second matchup of the Friday. We have two. It's one of those nights. We have two Friday night matchups all at the same time, 8 p.m.
This is
Eastern
dumb.
time. The first one we'll start off with is let's go straight to your boys, Vandy. The NOLA Gold, coming off of that big time win over Seattle at 5-4, is now taking on the Utah Warriors at 4-6 with that tough loss to Miami. This is a spicy one. This one's interesting.
Well, if Lasike is not back, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Branson's definitely not in.
Yeah, Dylan Nell's not.
I'll get
Dylan
out.
Nell's definitely out. That
Yeah,
guy's
you know what?
Literally,
Honestly, I hate to do it, but I'm going NOLA.
I actually think he's out for the rest of the season.
You might be right.
It
It wasn't just
Yeah.
one stop. It was
Vandy,
like 3.
I'm not gonna let you go NOLA.
was 3 kicks.
It was
Straight
crazy.
up 3 donkey kicks.
Yeah.
On the ground.
All right, Vandy, we're gonna circle back to you, but Maddie, who you got?
To
in
the
this matchup?
head.
Matt, who do you got in this matchup?
Yeah, it's tough. Utah's going back through injury. We've seen them go through injuries. Dylan Nell is a big part of that team. And they're going to struggle without him. And they're definitely, if Lasike is not back, they've been struggling without him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got to go NOLA here. I think NOLA will take it. It'll be maybe a tight one. We'll see, but I think NOLA will take this one.
You know, Vandy, screw it, man. If you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm going Utah, baby. Let's bounce back here. I'll go Utah.
What a fool.
Vandy, who you got?
I
I'm going Utah on this one.
want to say Utah. I do.
Vandy, you got to just do it. Like Ryan's
But
always
if
got to
I'm
go
going
for
to catch
Dallas.
you on this stupid list, I'm going NOLA.
Got to catch me too.
I'm not worried about you.
Come on.
You're
All right,
first.
Vandy's going against his boys.
You know
Maybe
what?
though you'll start a winning trend here.
Yeah, you
after
would.
they
You're not
just
even
put me
loyal
through for
anymore.
74 minutes. You know what?
You're a hypocrite.
I'm not a hypocrite.
You are, because we
You
just said
did, because
we
we
said in
just
early in
talked
the
about
show
Dylan
about-
Nell, and you were saying that Dylan Nell's red wasn't even a thing, and,
And-
now
and-
you're talking about you did donkey kick him 7 times in the head.
All I was saying was if you're going to call it all.
And
He
hey,
did. The other guy got a yellow.
Yeah, if that's a yellow, put me in rugby.
Yeah, then a donkey kick to the head is a
Okay.
red.
anyways,
If
we got- we
soccer
got-
the ball and that are both the same yellow, I don't want to live in this world.
what I was alluding to, I didn't want us to open up the wound that is Dylan Nell's card. I wanted to just say that We gave flack to Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning that he didn't pick his DC boys this past week when they beat Chicago.
I'm doing it. Let's go. Fucking Utah.
All right. All right. There we go. That's it. See, we just needed to give you a little push, Vandy.
Yeah, well, I tell you who
Little
I'm
push.
betting. I tell you who I'm putting my money on.
Just to note, this is back-to-back weeks where we had to talk you into your your Utah Warriors pick. Just want to say that. I don't know. I think your fanship's wavering here.
I wasn't here last week, so that is statistically incorrect.
Okay, the week before that. All right, another game at 8 p.m. Eastern time at the same time on Friday. The Houston SaberCats taking on the Chicago Hounds in this one. This one should be interesting. Billy Meeks will be back, presumably. I would think. So we should see a full thing. We'll see if Cam Meaden's in the lineup. Houston has been rolling. Got an interesting one here.
They're a buzzsaw, Houston.
If they come back with a stupid Lords Vanderskiff at 13
and Domikina
that actually matters,
and Domikina,
I swear, just play Sam Hill and Tuala Tassi.
No, man.
That's it. That's all you got to do. You found it.
Stop making
You did
sense.
it. You found the recipe. I'm picking Houston. You better pick that lineup.
All right. And I'm going Houston as well. I think you'd be silly to bet against Houston these games now. All right, let's shift to the fourth matchup now. The first on Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Both teams were on bye this past week. San Diego coming off of that win, going into the bye against the Dallas Jackals. The New England Free Jacks coming off, I believe, the loss to the Chicago Hounds.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. 6-3, both teams. This will be a battle, I think.
This is going to be a battle. I mean, a pretty battered and bruised New England team against San Diego Legion, who just got Giddo. We'll see where he fits in. But both of them have had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. 2 weeks to prepare for each other. And hey, I think I got to go San Diego here.
I was thinking San Diego.
You would.
All right. I was going to go maybe San Diego with the home field advantage, but because you guys both went San Diego, I'm going New England in this one. So we'll see where that goes.
Who are you betting?
That's a different question. Well, we have a triple D segment coming up. Dallas Jackals, now Seattle Seawolves, the last matchup of the weekend.
Dallas came so close last time.
Dallas came so close to Seattle. They're coming off of a tough loss to LA. Seattle coming off a tough loss to NOLA. Both these teams angry, I suppose. We'll see how this kind of pans out. This is a nice one to wrap up the week. It's a good test for Dallas to kind of really mark where they should be at.
It was a good test for Dallas, but they lost a huge player for them. Like Vogan Isaacs was an absolute mutant for them. Not just running the ball, but also off the boot. Like he was a guy who was able to just gain so much territory with his monster of a boot. It's going to be tough for Dallas. I think Seattle's going to come in hot here, and Seattle's going to get the dub.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with everything you just said.
Let's go.
Ryan, you going Dallas?
Well, he's a Dallas fan. Remember, Vandy? He's a diehard.
You just got to believe.
He's a den dog.
We believe.
I thought you were going to try and why don't you see if they can send you the jersey or something?
I know. I start with a scarf. But you know what?
I got
the merchandise. Got to go Dallas here. My gut says Seattle.
This guy's just flooding in MLR mercandise. Look at him. The polo shirt.
Shirt last I was going to say.
Scarf. What else you got over there?
Hey, MLR, we do this show every week too.
This guy's got oval cards flowing out of his pockets.
Like, holy.
Either way, gut says
you
Seattle.
only got one shirt to give out?
I actually have 3 now and a hoodie. It's okay though.
All right, we get it.
Anyways,
they make your pick.
Gut says Seattle. Heart says Dallas. I'll go Dallas in this one, and I'll buck the trend in this one. But all right. We all got LA over Anthem. Me and Vandy's got Utah over NOLA. Maddie's got NOLA. We all got Houston over Chicago. I got New England over San Diego. Vandy and Maddie have San Diego over New England. And then Maddie and Vandy both going Seattle. I'm going Dallas. All right, let's wrap up the show here like we do every single week now for the past few weeks. let's get into our Devin's Degenerate Dambles segment. We need a drop for this show. Hey, if you're out there and you're a listener of this podcast, if you know how to do any music or editing to get us a little drop for this, I think Vandy would like that. I think it would make him happy.
It'd just be Homer Simpson going, "Don't."
Yeah, no kidding. But hey, Vandy, you've done pretty good leading into this week. You put down $50. You were in the negative. To give everyone context, by about $15.
Yes.
You had 134 up to this point, but hey,
Yes.
you went even bigger this week. I guess that's the whole degenerate part. Hey, if
Yeah.
you lose it, you got to go more in.
There's
You gotta
nothing
buy
like
it out
doubling
more.
down, boys. There's nothing like doubling down.
So you go in this week and go $35,
Yeah.
and you won pretty big. Your biggest win of the year so far, $79 in total winnings. For this past week, you've now won a total of $113 and 82 cents this year so far. So I mean, you're doing solid. You're doing very solid
For 3 weeks.
What were the bets? I'll be fully transparent here. I completely choked here. I went with the 4-leg parlay, backed out of Old Glory DC at Chicago because I was worried about the Chicago lineup. And I thought it was a slam dunk. Put down 20, was going to win 50, or was going to win 50 back, and yeah, all that's gone, and it feels like crap.
Yeah, well,
I'm not as degenerate as you, Vandy, and that's why you have the Triple D segment. But
yeah, well, you know what? There's something about being a degenerate, and you know what? It often just comes to trusting your gut. And if you don't have that degenerative gut that I have, good luck. But
so you won.
Okay, so I put
you won $19.
I did a little parlay because I thought it was easy money.
Yeah.
Okay, I only put a tenner on it, and I absolutely biffed it. Seattle lost, Utah lost, Dallas lost, Old Glory lost, and Houston won. Or Old Glory won. So then I put the spread was really nice for Houston. 21 points. I was easy money. Put 10 on that. Won that one. I took LA to win, actually. Put a little tenner on that. And Old Glory. Threw another little 10 or 5 on that. So you know what? Pretty happy with the return. You know what? Sometimes, like, listen to our stuff. We'll tell you about the injuries. We'll tell you kind of where we stand. And I don't know why Vegas is lacking. But when I'm seeing, plus 500 on, or, plus 400 for Old Glory to win. Okay. You know what? Little enticing.
Like we've said on the show before, maybe you found your cash cow. All right, well, let's get into this week. Out of the matchups that we've said, Vandy, what is intriguing you? We usually go with a underdog, a lock, and a parlay that you have. Well, what are you thinking this week?
Well, this is tough, always without the odds, but
yeah, nothing's set in stone. Your advice to change, but on this Monday now, what are you thinking?
One underdog I actually really like is Dallas.
Okay.
I think there's going to be money on that just by Seattle being 8-2. It doesn't seem that they're very keen on, or up to date with all the MLR, as much as we are. So I really like Dallas there.
Okay.
My lock, obviously Houston. Damn buzzsaw.
Okay.
And then, you know what? For a little parlay that I think you can make some decent money on, I would do a 3-legger. I would take Legion, NOLA, LA.
Legion, NOLA, LA. And I think that'll be interesting because I don't know who is going to be the underdog in the Utah NOLA matchup.
No, me neither.
And I have no idea. Like, that's going to be close.
I
do think
they do put a lot.
If NOLA's the underdog, you got to take him.
Yeah.
If NOLA's the underdog, you take him.
I'll tell you right now, if I see a money line of like plus 105 on NOLA, I'm probably putting 20, 30 bucks on it.
And for New England, San Diego, I think New England's going to be the favorite in that one.
Who's at home?
So
they put a lot of onus
San Diego.
Then Free Jacks will be the dog.
You think Free Jacks will be the dog?
I think based off of 3 weeks in a row, they put a lot of
home field advantage.
Yeah, they put a lot into it.
Which has been interesting because there hasn't been like clear-cut weeks where like the home team has been like dominant, out of the 5, which is interesting.
If you're not playing Houston, you only got about 500 people yelling at you.
It's true. But all right. How before we wrap up the show, man, how you liking the Triple D segment? You enjoying that we've now immersed you in the world of your betting problems now with Major League Rugby?
Well, you know what? Fun? Either way, the bets are happening. Okay, at least this avenue, I'm winning some money. Hockey always lose. UFC, I do well. And you know what? This is my next UFC.
All right, there you go. All right, well, you heard it here first. Again, we're gonna keep you posted throughout the week on the socials, like we always do with our waiver wire players. Our starts of the week, our weekly challenge lineup. Get signed up there on the fantasyruckers.com. Give us a follow down below in the description. Handles are there up above if you're watching the YouTube video. Like, subscribe, goes a long way. Leave us a comment. Tell us how you're enjoying the fantasy MLR content and season so far. And yeah, we'll break down after what this is probably going to be another shocking week 12 round of results after what was a pretty shocking round of week 11. Any other thing you want to say to the people, boys, before we wrap up the show?
Nope.
Hey, Dylan Nell, I would have done the same thing, man.
Oh, you are.
All right, we're going to end it there. For Maddie, for Devin Vandy Vanderpool, I am Ryan Yee, and we'll see you next week with another episode of the Fantasy Rucker Show.
See you next year, Nell.
You've been listening to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, covering everything rugby from the MLR and beyond. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to tell all your friends. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, connect with us on social media at the Fantasy Ruckers. Till next time, this is the Fantasy Ruckers Show, signing off.